Tonight we take a look at Hollywood in the Hills. We all know Hollywood is well aware of everything our region has to offer. Major motion pictures have regularly been shot here, from Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf and Mel Gibson's Edge of Darkness in Northampton to The Judge with Robert Duvall and Robert Downey Jr. in Shelburne Falls. But of course, not all the productions bring big-time glitz and glamour. Diane Pearlman from the Berkshire Film and Media Collaborative came in to tell us about some of the lesser-known aspects and impacts of the burgeoning film and television production industry right here in Western Massachusetts.
When films come, they spend a lot of money in the into our local economy. They stay in hotels, they use local caterers, the cleaners, massage therapists, rent cars. So we actually did a study about a year and a half ago, and for every dollar that's spent in Western Massachusetts, 60 cents goes into the local economy. So if you put that even on a small film, $100,000, that's $60,000 that's going directly into some of our small towns. And when you look at something like The Judge that's spending tens of millions, it's quite an impact.
Berkshire Film and Media Collaborative is about a lot more than, and you're thrilled anytime a major studio, big producer says, hey, we want to come in, can you put us together with some of the people, some of the locations? And that's one of the things you do help with from time to time. But there's a lot of local talent. There's a lot of local folks who are Hollywood or New York business associated, live here, make their home here, producing things themselves, help out when the big productions come in. So it's kind of organic, isn't it?
Very much so. I mean, we sort of differ. Coming from New York, myself, I came up to work with Doug Trumbull 20 years ago. We have a different sort of culture here. A lot of entrepreneurs, people that can write, direct, shoot, edit, corporate video, do their own small films. So I find instead of in the cities, you have people that do one thing. I'm a director of photography. I'm a grip or a gaffer. Here, people tend to do a lot more. So we're focused on two things really, in terms of training people to work on the films when they come here, educating a workforce to be able to work in this industry. And also, once a year we do a film and media exchange so that our local videographers can meet our businesses, because businesses need video more and more for the web, for presentations, and we don't really want them going to New York or LA when they can go down the street and hire an Academy Award winner who lives in Western Massachusetts.
All of which leads me to gentleman sitting next to you, Al Williams. He's Executive Director of Northampton Community Television. And you, and in almost every good-sized community in the area that is served by a cable TV company, there is some sort of, supported by the cable business to at least some extent, a cable production operation for the local community channel. Tell us about what you do. And you're the local nitty-gritty, where the rubber meets the road end of production.
We are. So we run a community media center in Northampton called Northampton Community Television. And as you say, there are community media centers in quite a few communities across Western Mass. And we are a resource for the general public to come and learn about production. We give free classes. We have equipment that's available for free. We also have equipment that local professionals utilize on a rental basis to produce their first independent film. So a lot of people are cutting their teeth and using us as a resource to start their professional careers, to produce their first original film, or just to play and engage. So we serve a lot of sort of different purposes in the community. And we're open to everyone, and we sort of are content neutral in terms of what kind of production occurs in our facilities.
Let me talk more about that. And I want to say what I'm going to say here very carefully so it is interpreted by folks as being, as it's meant to be, completely complimentary. Northampton is kind of a unique place in a lot of ways.
Sure.
With all the colleges and universities around, it's a destination location. Folks want to live there. Folks want to go there. Folks want to visit downtown.
Yeah.
Folks want to be part of the Greater Northampton, Amherst, Hadley, South Hadley community.
Sure.
A lot of writers are there, folks who are there for no other reason than this is a cool, interesting community to be part of. That's got to translate a little bit into what you do and what you want to do, because I would think more than most communities, folks coming to you and saying, I got an idea for a show, I want to learn how to do a show, I want to learn how to produce, I want to, maybe more than in a lot of places.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some truth to that. And we're also open to people outside the Northampton community, I'll say that. And And to broaden the conversation outside of our specific organization, these media centers are really intended for use by the public. So to some extent, anyone in any community can engage at these centers, whether at our center in Northampton or by finding your local center. There are some communities in which they don't exist. Right. And you're right, Northampton is a little bit of a unique situation. I think I would be remiss not to thank the community for supporting us and empowering us to really do the level of work that we've been able to do in Northampton. We do things like we give out grants for independent producers to produce short films, and it's our way of trying to say that artists should be supported monetarily for their work. So there's a lot of things that we do that I think other centers wish and hope that they can do. And I encourage the community to engage and take advantage of those resources and know that they exist.
And boy, Diane, talk about building from the grassroots up, huh, for the kind of thing you do on the bigger, more macro level.
Well, and yes and no. I mean, last summer, there's Ben Tobin runs a wonderful summer camp for middle schoolers, and he called me and said, my kids would love to come on a tour of Doug Trumbull's studio in the Berkshires. And Doug, being such an advocate for education, of course, welcomed them. We also hosted a group of high schoolers from Hampshire College. So, we find that we're actually working and providing resources or just other opportunities to people of all ages that are utilizing our local cable stations. But like last week, I saw somebody need some equipment, and I said, call Al. So, there's a lot, I think in some ways, in Western Mass, we have a really great network, and we help each other, and we recommend people to each other, crew people, where can I find this camera? So there's really a lot of great communication, and it's kind of all, the 4 counties all work really nicely together.
Yes, you real quickly, the state of Massachusetts in the last decade or so has had a tax break to try and bring productions here. There's been some controversy. Some folks, including current Governor Baker, at first said, I don't know about this. I'm not sure who it's really benefiting. I know you're one of the folks that said, no, keep this. They've kept it at this point. You think it's important, briefly, don't you?
I think if the governor's original plan to do away with the tax credit actually had gone through, it would have destroyed the industry. Major studios, will not go where there isn't a tax credit. In some ways, it affects in a lesser degree the industry we have here in terms of making smaller videos. But in terms of the real engine of Hollywood coming here, it would have destroyed many, many jobs. So I think this year we're probably going to have to fight for it again. We may need to revise it slightly, but I think we need to keep the tax credit. It is an industry that's growing. It's an industry that we need in Massachusetts. There are a lot of spin-off businesses, but also we find that we train a lot of people, young people here, and then they leave to go to Hollywood. And we really need to keep the industry here, keep young people here to keep our economy going.
So much more we can talk about. Time is out, unfortunately. Diane Pearlman, Al Williams, thank you for what you do. Thanks for coming in and spending some time with us.
Thank you.